Hello everyone, welcome back to Debt Free Life. My name is Sarah, and today we are talking about our first paycheck in July budget because we are bi-weekly budgeters here at Debt Free Life. A little bit about me in case you are new to the channel. Like I said, my name is Sarah, and I budget for my family of three, which includes myself and my husband and our preschool age daughter. We are a two-income family. We do not have any debt other than our house, which we purchased in 2019. So that is going to be reflected in our budget here. Also, we live in Canada, in specifically Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is in the center of the continent. Our finances obviously then are all in Canadian dollars, and the types of different like retirement savings and savings accounts and things are all specific to Canada. I do know from my analytics in YouTube that a lot of you who are watching are from the US. Obviously, hopefully you can still get something out of this video in terms of how I build my budget, because I do it a little bit differently than other people that I have seen online. So in addition to being debt-free, we are also a month ahead on our bills. And so I make sure that I work that into every single paycheck that we get. So let's jump into some actual numbers here. I've got this written out into my different categories. This is the first area where you'll see something kind of different in the way that I do this. So I have income, but I also have fixed expenses and future fixed expenses. So this will come into play when we talk about my next month's expenses that I am covering with the paycheck that I'm going to receive on June 30th. Now, obviously, June 30th is not in July, so why am I calling this my July budget? Well, because it's literally the last day of June, and so the rest of this pay period is in the month of July. So I consider this like my first pay period for July. Obviously, getting paid bi-weekly, there's 52 weeks in the year, so you get 26 paychecks. There are 12 months in the year, which means if you were paid bi-monthly, so twice a month, then you would only get 24 paychecks. So we actually get extra paychecks, and the June 30th paycheck kind of counts as one of those extra because June had 3 paychecks that came out in the month of June, where the date was actually in the month of June. But I don't treat this any different than I do my regular budgets. I really don't treat it like a magic month or a magic paycheck, that the way that I've seen some other people do online, where they feel like they have more that they can save from it, just because of the fact that I bi-weekly budget. Now, you will see that in a few months from now, I'll probably be so far ahead on my fixed expenses that I'm starting to get like 2 months ahead, and we don't need to be 2 months ahead. So at that point, that's usually where you'll see I'll have more money to throw into my sinking funds, but I don't do it on these magic paychecks or whatever you want to call it. Okay, I already said we should jump into the numbers, so let's do that. So we are a double income family, so we do get 2 paychecks, and it just so happens that my husband and I both get paid on the same week. So the first paycheck, I always put it at $1,530, so $1,530. That one is slightly variable in that there are different things that come out of it. So pension, we have, both my husband and I have pension plans with our work where they take money out of our paychecks. We also we're both in workplaces that are unionized, so we have union dues, things like that. And this one can vary just because of the way that they take the money out, whereas the second paycheck is pretty much always $1,120. So that's our second paycheck. Now the third source of income is what I call the float. This is the money that I have set aside from previous paychecks to pay for this paycheck's fixed expenses. So the reason I include this line, and you're going to see as we go down to the fixed expenses, is that so that I can cancel out money that is sitting in my checking account right now. So I always carry a balance in my checking account, and that money sits there until I need it for the next month's bills. So we don't actually know how much is going to come out of the float until we figure out which expenses are coming out in this pay period. So our first expense that comes out in this pay period is our child care. My daughter does go to daycare, obviously, because both me and my husband work, and we're in a new situation now. We used to be in a very complicated situation where she was going half days to one place and half days to the other, and we were having to pay extra and all of these different things. So now we are down to, she is just going to one place. It's going to be $200-ish I think it might be, like 195 or 198 or something like that. But I'm just going to put $200 in the budget just because it's an easy round number to work with. And that's going to come out on, I think, the 5th of July. And that'll be the way that it works. It's like a 25-day cycle or something. So it doesn't always come out on the same day of the month. But this one definitely comes out in this time period. I'm not a month ahead on my childcare costs because we got a month ahead on our bills before my daughter was going to daycare. That's how long we've been a month ahead on our bills. We were a month ahead on our bills even before we paid off all of our debt last year because I paid off my debt very slowly. It took us about 10 years to pay off $23,000 in debt. And you're thinking, wow, like that took you a long time. Yes, it did. We did other things while we were paying off debt. And maybe if you're interested, let me know in a comment down below and I will tell my debt story. But we've been a month ahead for so long that I need to actually rectify that. And maybe when I get to the point where my fixed expenses are paid for like 2 months ahead, then I'll work in the childcare element to that. And I'll teach you how I got a month ahead. TFSA, this is the tax-free savings account. I have an automatic withdrawal that comes out every paycheck, $25. It's literally just a savings account. And it's an automatic withdrawal, so it doesn't sound like much, but it's been set up since I was about 18 years old and had my first job, so I've just always left it. Then we have our RRSPs, which is Registered Retirement Savings Plan. Me and my husband each have one of these. It's an additional retirement kind of account in addition to our pensions that we get from our work. We have $100 per paycheck that goes into this. We alternate, so this paycheck I think it's going into mine, and then the next paycheck it'll go into my husband's, and we just alternate back and forth that way. And then I need to pull this nice little sticky note out. I'm just going to check that you're in frame here still. Yeah, so this is my little list of all of my different expenses and the dates that they come out. So these ones I put into every budget, even though childcare actually I should add to this list. But again, it's not in my month ahead, and that's why it's like this. These things are not in my month ahead float. But we are going from June 30th to July 14th, so we need to cover our banking fees, which are $17. They come out on the last day of the month. I'm going to put a little star there because that's coming out of the float. And then water doesn't get paid this month. I think next month is our water bill is due. They only bill every 3 months or quarterly. And then, of course, our mortgage is going to come out. Our mortgage also includes our property taxes, and this is $13.20. And then I think that's it, because then the next bills that come out are on the 15th, and this only goes until the 14th. So those will be on the next pay periods check. So that is our total for our expenses. So let's add these together. I'm just trying to make sure you can see here. 200 plus 25 plus 100 plus 17 plus 1320. Whoa, that's not right. Oh, shoot. I hate this calculator. I used to have a different calculator and then it broke. And when I started this channel, I just went to the dollar store and I bought this calculator. And I do not like it. The buttons are in different places, and I constantly hit the wrong thing when I'm trying to clear an error. This gives us a total of $1,662 in our expenses. We also, though, have to add up these two that have stars next to them because these are actually going to come out of the float. And so if I want to make sure that I have the correct amount of money represented in my income, I have to include that up here, 1,337. That money is already in my checking account. That's why I'm including it in my income, just so that it will cancel these out, so that when I do my zero-based budgeting, which is what I do, we are accounting for every dollar spent. So we need to add these three numbers together to see our total income, and that is going to get us rolling here. So this is, we have $3,987. Oh, I should put it here as well. That is our income for this pay period. And that number sounds really big because of the fact that we had saved the mortgage payment from our last month's money. So I don't make that much money. My family doesn't make that much money in this pay period, but that's the amount of money that is going to come out of my checking account in this pay period. So then we need to take that number and we need to subtract our fixed expenses, which was $1,662. And that's going to leave us with $2,325 moving forward. Now, the next thing that we do is we save for our future fixed expenses. So the one we're saving for this month, and I literally alternate. So with this little sticky, you may have noticed at the bottom, I have bills without mortgage is $819. The mortgage is $1,320. So I just alternate. One pay period, I cover the mortgage. The next pay period, I cover the bills that are all the rest of them in my future fixed expenses. This money is going to stay in my account. This pay period, we are saving for the mortgage for August. So I just write that down. This is how I make sure I don't get too many months ahead. August is next month, because remember, even though this is money that we're getting paid on June 30th, it's going towards our first 2 weeks of July. So we are going to save $1,320, which is our mortgage payment. We are going to subtract that from 2,325, which is how much we had. Whoa, I did that wrong. 2,325 minus 1,320. I can't talk and type at the same time. So that's going to leave us with $1,005 left. If my lighting just changed, I'm sorry. My computer monitor just turned off and it might have been casting extra light. It is quite cloudy out today here where I am, so the lighting situation is not as great as I would like. Like I was saying though, that leaves us with $1,005 for our variable expenses and our sinking funds, because we're just trying to get to zero at the bottom here. For our variable expenses, we have 4 categories. I like to keep things simple. I don't like to have a lot of categories. Honestly, when I'm reconciling my budget, I really consider this kind of as one lump sum, and like if I use more in the eat out category than I do the groceries category. Like it so long as the total number balances, that's fine. My 4 categories that I like to use are groceries, which also includes household things like toilet paper. It also includes our pets, like their cat food and their litter. It includes, I don't know, basic things that you would need, toiletries, those kinds of things. Then we have miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is for those things that you need that maybe aren't like regular occurrences. So like new ink for the printer, or, yard waste bags, those kinds of things that are kind of more one-off. Also sometimes like if I want to get something, a new toaster, a new, maybe there's some kind of kitchen gadget that I think would make my husband's life easier because he does all the cooking, like those kinds of things is miscellaneous in my mind. Then we have eat out, which we don't do a ton of, and then our fun category. Now, these numbers are actually going to change this pay period because of a few things. So first of all, my daughter's childcare situation has changed. Like I said, she used to go half days to one place, half days to another place. She was had food included in one of those 2 places, which is the place she's not going to anymore. So she used to have lunch and a snack covered in the like tuition fees or whatever you want to call that, the fees that we paid. And that's not happening anymore. So now I am going to have to pack her 2 snacks and a lunch every day. So I think my grocery budget needs to be upped a little bit. So I'm just going to give us $450. I've also been finding that I have been going over my $400 consistently since I've been tracking this, since I started this channel. I honestly had not been doing like very close budgeting when I started the channel. I felt like I had a really good handle on my finances, but actually really focusing in on where my money is going has shown me that I'm actually not as good at staying on top of things as I thought I was. So we are increasing that a little bit. Again, I don't think she's going to eat $50 worth of food in a 2-week period just for her lunches and snacks, but that gives us a little more wiggle room. Miscellaneous, we're going to keep at $100. Eating out, we are going to add some money to here because of the fact that it's actually me and my husband, we are celebrating our anniversary, our wedding anniversary. I think it's 8 years, something like that. And so I think we're going to go out for dinner to a like nicer restaurant, and I think $100 should be sufficient for us to eat out for our anniversary. If I'd really been thinking about it, I would have made sure there was enough money in the like gifts and birthdays sinking fund to go for that, but I didn't really plan on it, so we're just gonna add it in here. It will take a little bit away from the sinking funds down at the bottom, but that's okay. And then fun, we always have $150 in fun. That's $50 per person in my family. We don't just give the $50 for my daughter to her to spend or do whatever. She's 4. She can't handle that kind of money yet, but we do have that money in there. So if we want to do something as a family, sometimes my husband will take her out for like a daddy-daughter date on the weekend, and they'll go get milkshakes or, something like that. Then that would come out of her fun money. Sometimes if we want to, rent a movie online, like through, YouTube has movie rentals or Prime has movie rentals, and we're going to do like a family movie night, it would come out of her fun money instead of my fun money or my husband's fun money. So that it's kind of more like family fun money, I guess. So that is our new variable expenses. Now, it used to be $700 every month that I put, or every paycheck that I put towards variable expenses, but that number is obviously going to go up. I apologize for the siren that you can probably hear. I do have my windows closed, but we are on a fairly busy street, so sometimes we hear the sirens like that. So that is going to make it $800 now instead of $700. Obviously, I added 50 to the eat out and 50 to the groceries, so that makes sense. So then we are going to take this number, 1,005, and we are going to subtract the 800 that we are planning to spend on our variable expenses, and that is going to leave us with $205. Now, if you have been following along on the channel, you may or may not know that we are currently saving towards a Disney vacation in October of 2024. It's going to be a kind of like once in a lifetime, big, huge vacation that we are going on, and we need to save $15,000 before we go. We have saved some money up to this point. We started saving in April, but I had calculated how much money I needed to save per paycheck to be able to hit that $15,000. And it was $385 per pay period. So we don't have $385 here, but that's okay because I always look at my numbers a month ahead. So even though you are seeing me write this out on paper, I do actually have a digital version of this that I've written out ahead of time. Maybe I'll peek that in there so you can see, that I do for myself, and I forecast. So I do like future months, and future paychecks to look and see. And I knew that we were going to fall short here. So I planned that in my month, in my paycheck. I keep getting months and paychecks mixed up. I am so sorry. I am a bi-weekly budgeter. But I planned that in our last paycheck. We covered the shortfall. But the rest of this is all going towards our Disney sinking fund. So we have nothing for Christmas, nothing for the carpool money that I'm supposed to be saving as our gift for the person who my husband carpools to work with, nothing for our clothings and gifts fund. So that is not ideal. I really need to make some more money, I think. And I do have an idea for that. I am thinking of starting an Etsy shop. I am, like I promised in my last video, going to have a video where I do some savings challenges. And so I have made some for myself because I didn't want to spend a bunch of money buying from other people. I did buy some from other people, but I didn't want to spend a ton of money to then, not have money to actually put into the savings challenges. So I was thinking, since I was able to create some, that it might be fun to start an Etsy shop. So hopefully when I have that video ready to go, the editing is just a little more that I have to do on it, then I will also have my Etsy shop set up. And if you want to go and purchase some of those savings challenges, you can do that and help me out with getting more money for my sinking funds. I'm very, very thankful for the income that we make. And obviously, the fact that we are debt free and that we paid off our debt last year has been a huge help. It has meant that we have a lot more money that can go into sinking funds. And obviously it's a huge privilege to go on a vacation that costs $15,000. Like, that is the amount of money we put as a down payment on our house. Just a few years ago, I never would have thought that we would be in a position where we could even consider saving up that kind of money for something like a 12-day vacation, right? And that would have felt very different than it does now. But that is my budget. We did get to zero, obviously, at the end. which is what we want to do. I should have also mentioned we don't have a car, which you are not seeing any car payments. You're not seeing any car insurance. You're not seeing any gas because we don't own a car. That is something that I usually talk about because most people do own a car. We don't own a car. We live in an area where it's very walkable. We are able to get to our workplaces, myself by walking, and my husband actually carpools with one of his colleagues. We are able to walk my daughter to her daycare. So we live very locally. We use delivery, like both Amazon and then Instacart and like Walmart delivery to get groceries and other things delivered that maybe would be more difficult to bring on the bus, like a big bunch of groceries every week, but we live just fine without a car. So I did forget to mention that. So I'll just throw that in here. But otherwise, that is our budget. I will be checking in to show you how I did on this budget at the end of the pay period. So if you want to subscribe, that way you won't miss a video. I do also have my closeout for the budget that ended on June 29th coming very soon. And you're going to see, again, I have not been the best at keeping track of things and really staying on budget. So yeah, so stay tuned for those videos and of course the savings challenge video. Lots of things, exciting things coming up. The channel is growing. I'm very excited. I've rambled way too long at the end here though. You probably aren't even watching anymore. So I should just say thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.